Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 for this, our reactions to qualifying for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the final qualifying session of the year. Here we are. Hope you're all doing very well. Before we get into anything, remember to like and subscribe before we go in. That is the rules, of course. We all know the rules by now. And a massive shout out, of course, to our members. Dakota, The Joyous James, Robin Myers, Cinnamon Strudel, and our brand new member, Jack Hawk, who's our new member here on the channel. If you want to become a member, there's a link in the description. You can see all the lovely benefits you get to the memberships, all that kind of stuff, including early videos, behind-the-scenes stuff. You get your shout-outs in the videos as well. If you want to have a look at all of that, it's available in the link in the description. But let's get into qualifying right now for what was... It was kind of a mixed qualifying, because it felt like in every session, nothing really happened, and everything happened at the end of every session. Like a lot of qualifyings we've seen this year, it's just non-stop. Whereas it felt like we were already on the winter break at some points in this qualifying. People kind of just had their feet up like, we'll get a lap time in there in the end. Like in Q1, we had a very slow start. About 10 minutes to go, there was like 6 times on the board. People were taking their time. It also didn't help. There was a few track limits throughout the sessions today. Sergio Perez was the first we hit with track limits in Q1. His lap time was deleted, although later on was reinstated. So that was a bit of an odd one. Certain cars, though, who have been slow throughout the entire year, all of a sudden in Abu Dhabi became quite quick, including the Haas. Kevin Magnussen going third, beating both McLarens at one point in Q1, only being beaten by Sainz and Verstappen at this point. This was when Perez's lap time was reinstated. He got pushed up to third. There's a huge queue in the pit lane. Unsafe release for Bottas nearly hit Perez and then nearly hit both of the Racing Bills cars. So very close for him, getting hit 3 times without even getting on the track yet. As we close Q1 though, here are the guys who are out. So Jack Doohan, it's his debut race and he qualified dead last. In 19th place was Franco Colapinto. The big shock, though, in Q1, Lewis Hamilton, 18th place for his final qualifying for the Mercedes team. He will get promoted a little bit due to some other grid penalties that are on the track, but still not a great qualifying for him. Zhou Guanyu was 17th. Alex Albon was in 16th. Now both Colapinto and Zhou both have 5-place grid penalties, so they will go to the back, which will promote Doohan, Hamilton, and Zhou. But overall, still for Hamilton, that was the big shocker. We saw later on in a replay, though, that for his final fast lap, he actually had a bollard stuck underneath his car. It looked like Kevin Magnussen went off track trying to get out of the way of someone, hit the bollard, pushed it into the track. Hamilton drove right over it, and we know how important ground effect is to these current versions of the Formula 1 cars. So to have a bollard stuck to your floor, I imagine, is not massively beneficial for one lap pace. Nico Hulkenberg was noted for driving unnecessarily slowly. Now, of course, that was a big thing in Qatar with Max Verstappen, so maybe one to keep an eye on from there. George Russell blocked Liam Lawson's fast lap, which also was a big thing in Qatar, but don't worry, that has already been looked at by the stewards, and they said that was fine. What we need to remember, in Qatar, Max Verstappen blocked George Russell's warm-up lap, so that's illegal, but George Russell here blocked Liam Lawson's actual timed lap, so that's fine, because that makes all the sense in the world. George Russell there, the man who said Max Verstappen gets away with murder. Into Q2 now, and on the first time laps, Max Verstappen goes out on fresh softs. I think Yuki Tsunoda went out on fresh softs as well. Everyone else on used. The first 2 laps were set by Verstappen and Russell. Russell 8/10 off the back of Max Verstappen. Now, of course, Russell was on used softs, but the gap of 8/10 is much bigger than the difference between fresh and used tyres. Max had a fantastic lap to start Q2. Norris does get closer to him, though, just 1/10 off the back of Max Verstappen. Charles Leclerc nearly has a Latifi-style crash in the last sector, but manages to save it from there. Once again, huge queue at this point of the session. in the pit lane. But as we cross the line, Kevin Magnussen is a disappointing 15th place. Had a lot of pace in Q1, but wasn't able to transfer that over into Q2. Charles Leclerc is 14th. Now, he did set a lap time, which took him to the top of the leaderboard, but he had track limits into turn 1. His lap time was deleted. He has a 10-place grid penalty for tomorrow, so he will also be at the back of the grid. I imagine he'll be last, won't he? Because I was going to say that he'll be in front of Albon and Colapinto. Because they have 5 and he has 10, I think he will be dead last. Might even go for a pit lane start, which is not great for Ferrari's chances of winning the Constructors' Championship this year, which was already quite a question because of the points difference there is. But yeah, not looking great for Ferrari's championship hopes as we sit here right now. Stroll was 13th, Lawson was 12th, Yuki Tsunoda in 11th. Much better qualifying for the Racing Bulls than it has been in the last couple of weekends. Let's go now into Q3, and my goodness, Max Verstappen sets a lap time initially, and it was a very good lap time, but as he goes to cross the last corner, he has a huge drift, manages to catch it, manages to keep one wheel on the track, but as he catches it, he's now going headfirst towards the pit lane, catches it again, and as he crosses the line, he goes top and stays top for quite a considerable amount of time. That lap time, if he had not made that mistake, it was incredible already, but if he hadn't made that mistake, would have been even better. I mean, the car control he had to be able to save that, with his foot staying down and keeping as much time as he had, fantastic car control from him to go top at that point. After everyone sets their first lap times, this is our top 10. So Bottas hadn't set a lap time at this point, so he was 10th. Oscar Piastri did set a lap time, then got that lap time deleted, so he was 9th. Russell was really struggling, he was in 8th. Perez was 7th. Alonso 6th. Gasly 5th. Hulkenberg in a very impressive 4th. Sainz was 3rd. Norris was 2nd. And Max Verstappen top of the session at this point. Norris just 0.004 off the back of Max Verstappen. Now, before we go to the second fast laps, Piastri's time was reinstated, much like Sergio Perez's was before. Must have had a call from McLaren saying, can you look at this again? And looking on the replay, it was a very close call, and especially when it's not just like, is your tyre touching the white line, but also like, you know, the bit where the tyre comes out here, is that over the white line? And it's very close. Like, personally, when I looked at the Perez one, I thought that was a track limit. Apparently not. Piastri, I can understand it a little bit more, but there you go. Piastri's was reinstated, he went 3rd. And now, my goodness, it all went to hell here because we have fast lap times all the time now. Hulkenberg went top. And I was just like, I can't believe this. I cannot believe this. Nico Hulkenberg is going to get his second pole of his career. Then Oscar Piastri goes top, and I go, well, Piastri's going to get his first pole of his career. And as the session ends, here is our top 10 for tomorrow. So Sergio Perez in 10th place. And you know what? For Sergio Perez, who for the last couple of years has really struggled with qualifying, under a lot of pressure at the minute, I think that was a decent lap from Sergio overall to go 10th. More impressive was Valtteri Bottas in 9th. Valtteri Bottas yet to score points because Zhou scored some points last time out in Qatar. Valtteri pointless thus far, hoping to change that in tomorrow. This is a great start for him from P9. Fernando Alonso puts it 8th in an Aston that's been struggling for a lot this year. Another great lap from him. George Russell might be a little bit disappointed in 7th place, but overall, since FP3, the Mercedes has looked relatively nowhere. Pierre Gasly continues his wonderful string of form at the minute. He's in P6. Max Verstappen will be quite disappointed, I feel, in P5. Now, towards Friday, once again, Red Bull turned up looking like they were absolutely nowhere, but they did their normal Friday night thing of figuring out exactly what's wrong with the car and fixing it. Max's second fast lap was just nowhere. I think he was down in Sector 1, down in Sector 2, then up in Sector 3, probably because he didn't drift round the last corner. But overall, still, I think he might be a bit disappointed from there, starting from P5. As I said, Hulkenberg did go top, but he eventually fell down to P4. But still, 4th place for Nico Hulkenberg in his last race in the Haas. A great starting place for him. Sainz is 3rd in his final race for Ferrari. Then it is an all-McLaren 1-2, But in what order? In P2, it was Oscar Piastri. Lando Norris goes top yet again. Lando Norris on pole for tomorrow. And if it wasn't enough already for Ferrari, who will have one car starting at the back of the grid, their rivals in the championship, who already have like 20 points lead on them, will lock out the front row going into tomorrow. McLaren very much one hand on the Constructors' Championship as we enter the final race. But the star of qualifying has to be Nico Hulkenberg. A fantastic lap from him. And you know what? Maybe tomorrow the race starts, lights out, and away we go. And, you know, we have Norris and Piastri. They're competing there. Sainz is there. They all take each other out into turn one. No one's hurt, of course. And then Hulkenberg just goes right on through. And he goes, thank you very much. I'll take that. And his final race for Haas, he finally gets his first podium. And it's the fairy tale ending we've all dreamed of. We can dream, of course. We'll find out what really happens this time tomorrow. I'll, of course, be here with you to discuss all of it after the race. We also have F1 Academy and F2. The F2 Championship still up for grabs. That is looking very exciting as we head into the final race for them there. So, let me know what you thought of this qualifying. Who is your star of qualifying? Is it Hulkenberg? I think it's Hulkenberg. Although Bottas deserves a shout. And Gasly yet again performing very well. I think the shock of qualifying was Lewis Hamilton. But I think Crofty said that over the last 6 race weekends, he has gone out in Q1 3 times. I'd have to double check that statistic. But yeah, Lewis Hamilton, who we've said a few times over the last couple of weekends, seems to have had a knock of his confidence in the last few races, not picking it up again here in Abu Dhabi. But, you know, we saw in Las Vegas where he qualified, I think he was 10th there, not 18th. But still, he was able to come through the grid there. Hopefully he can do the same in his last race for Mercedes. He has a memorable one and he can finish on a bit of a high. We'll wait and see how it goes down tomorrow. As I said, I'll be here with you. And of course, the Advent calendar will be back again tomorrow. Until then, though, have a good one. Goodbye.